Everybody loves dads, stories, and the Marine Corps. What could be better than Marine Corps dads who tell stories? Here's another story with veteran storyteller John Sugar Jr., a Marine Corps dad.
Tonight, we're going to tell the story of Scarysaurus. Once upon a time, there was a dinosaur. And the dinosaur ran around on two legs and had two claws and a mouth. Teeth weren't very sharp, but she wanted to make them sharper because she wanted to be a Scarysaurus. And she kept telling her mom, "Mom, I want to be a Scarysaurus." And the mom said, "Yes, dear." Now, these particular kinds of dinosaurs like to lay eggs, and they built nests for their eggs to be in, and they would try to protect their eggs. They built the nests out of mud. They made big bowls out of mud, and they would put the eggs in the bowls, and then the mom would hover over the eggs and make sure that nobody would break the eggs or step on the eggs or anything like that. And Scarysaurus was a little kid dinosaur that would run around the eggs. Now, in the forest, there were bad guy dinosaurs. They were called velociraptors. And velociraptors like to eat dinosaur eggs. And they would try to sneak in and steal dinosaur eggs. And the velociraptors, that's all they would do. They wouldn't go hunting for meat. They wouldn't grow vegetables. They wouldn't farm. They would just try to steal eggs from other dinosaurs, and they would eat those. They were thieves. They were egg burglars. And Scarysaurus had heard about the velociraptors. Now, velociraptors run around in gangs. So there was always 4 or 5 of them in a gang. They would run through the forest. And they had one big hooked claw on their foot. And they would kick you with their big toenail. Like this. Okay? It was a claw, but it's a big toenail. I mean, come on. And they would try to cut you with their big toes. And Scarysaurus said, "Mom, when they come and try to steal our eggs, I'm gonna beat them up." And the mom said, "Okay, dear." And Scarysaurus hatched a plan. One day, all the moms in the nest decided to take a break. And they left one mom in charge of the nest. So they all went shopping for dinosaur dresses. And they went shopping and they left the one mom. But this mom wasn't very good at being a dinosaur mom. She didn't pay attention and she fell asleep. Oh no. And they came. The velociraptors were watching in the forest with their yellow eyes and their big toes ready and their mouths. They were drooling. They were going to eat some dinosaur eggs. Now, Scarysaurus didn't get to go with the moms on their shopping trip because Scarysaurus was kind of a pain. She'd run around and take stuff and look at stuff and explore and look at all the everything and try to beat up other dinosaurs. And so the mom said, "Scarysaurus, you have to stay here." Well, suddenly Scarysaurus was the only dinosaur awake. And there were all the eggs. And the velociraptors came out of the woods. And their big toes were ready. And their eyes, yellow like snake eyes, were ready. And they were drooling as they walked. And all this drool would follow the velociraptors as they went for the eggs. What they didn't know was Scarysaurus knew they were coming. And while the dinosaur mom, that wasn't a very good mom, was laying on the ground looking at her phone instead of taking care of the eggs, Scarysaurus was building traps. The first velociraptor reached for the first egg. And then the egg exploded. It egg-exploded in his face. And dust flew into his eyes because it wasn't a real egg. And the velociraptor couldn't see. And he was like cutting around with his big toe. And he got his buddy Rick. And the velociraptor screamed, ah! Big toenails scratched down his body. And they said, what was that? And the third velociraptor backed away because he didn't want to get hit by the dust. And you know what happened? Something fell out of a tree and hit him on the head. And it released this vapor. It was skunk smell. Scarysaurus stink bombed this velociraptor. And the velociraptor said, it was all over his tongue and he could taste skunk smell in his mouth. Blah! And he started running. And he couldn't see, and he tried to lick a tree to get the smell off his tongue. And he just hurt his tongue. He's like, no! And he ran off screaming and crying. Ah! And the last two velociraptors circled the nest. And they were like, we're gonna get it. And they saw this little dinosaur stand up in the middle of the eggs. And Scarysaurus had duct taped 2 sticks to her big toes. And she was like, come on! Come and get it! And she was gonna try to kick him with the sticks on her big toes. She's like, I'm a better velociraptor than you are. Ah! And these two velociraptors, they looked at each other. They looked back at Scarysaurus. They looked at the eggs. They looked at each other. And that's when the log hit them. This log swung down out of the trees. I don't know where Scarysaurus got the rope. I don't know how she climbed the trees, and I don't know how she got the log up there. But this log came down and hit both velociraptors. And hit both velociraptors and sent them into the forest where they just laid on the ground and cried. And behind them ran the guy who kept trying to lick everything. And he just ran with his tongue on the ground. And Scarysaurus protected the nest from the thieves because Scarysaurus hated stealers. And when Mom got back, she said, Scarysaurus, what did you do? Because it smelled like skunk. There was a log missing. That something had exploded and there was velociraptor tracks all over the nest. And Scarysaurus, who can't walk because of the sticks on her big toes, said, I got it, Mom. I protected the nest. And the dinosaur mom said, of course you did, dear. The end.
That was another story with John Sugar Jr., a Marine Corps dad. Check the show notes for links to his Patreon and website at creativegrumbles.com.